Okay, let's look at question 45. For all x does not equal plus or minus y, figure out what those two fractions are equal to. The only purpose of this is to say, well, if x equals y or x equals negative y, that would make the denominator in one or both places 0. And we can't have a denominator equal 0. So this part not really important for the actual solving of the problem. So to be able to add fractions, you need a common denominator. I am going to rewrite this problem just because this one is going to take up a decent amount of space. This is a 2 or 3 minute problem, so it's not one that you can get through in 15, 30 seconds like you can some of the other problems. To get a common denominator, think about how we get a common denominator for a simple problem like 1/2 plus 2/3. We would multiply this side, bottom and top, by 3, and this side, bottom and top, by 2. So in other words, we multiply one fraction by the other denominator. So in this problem, I'm going to multiply this fraction on the left by the other denominator, x minus y. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. And then on the other side, I'm going to do the same thing, except this one needs an x plus y. So I'm multiplying the other fraction by the other denominator. So now I have a common denominator. This is my common denominator, and when you're adding and subtracting fractions, you only have to write that common denominator once. Just think back to our 1/2 plus 1/3 example. And at the top, we've got a little bit of simplifying to do. So we have x minus times x minus y here, plus y times x plus y. I look at the answer choices. We're not there yet. So we need to distribute. I'm running out of space, so I'm going to do it down here. So that's x squared minus xy. Distribute the y here. That's plus xy plus y squared. The xy's are going to cancel, and we're left with just x squared plus y squared over our common denominator. I don't think that's quite a choice. They really want you to choose D, but it's not D because we have a common denominator. It looks like we're going to have to multiply out our denominator. So that's going to give us x squared. And really, let me just do it to save some space. Let me do it up here. X times times y is x squared plus xy. Negative y times x is negative xy. Negative y times positive y is negative y squared. Again, the xy's cancel, and we're left with x squared plus y squared over x squared minus y squared. So as messy as 45 was, 46 can actually be much simpler. Mary, James, and Carlos sold 1/4 page advertisements for the school yearbook. Mary sold twice as many as Carlos did, and James sold 3 times as many as Mary did. What fraction of these advertisements did Carlos sell? So first off, the 1/4, that number doesn't matter. That's just the type of advertisement we're talking about. Sometimes these questions confuse me a little bit when we're talking about just all sorts of different unknowns among 3 different people. So what I like to do is I like to just make up numbers. Mary sold twice as many as Carlos did. So let's just make up a number for Mary and Carlos. As long as it satisfies this statement, Mary sold twice as many as Carlos did, we're good. So let's say Mary sold 4, which means Carlos sold half that, 2. And then it also tells us in this problem, James sells 3 times as many as Mary does. So James is 3 times 4, so James sold 12. What fraction of these advertisements did Carlos sell? So Carlos sold 2 out of 12 plus 2 plus 4. 18. So 2 out of 18 Carlos sold, which reduces to 1/9.